I'm Evelyn, and I'm a geoholic.
The build-up.
There it is. That's a good intro.
Uh-huh. Keep it going. You'll see what I'm talking about here. Keep
All
going.
right. I mean, I know the song, but yeah, let's let it roll.
Such a good song. Yeah. Love this song. Love this song. I was so excited when our guest was mentioned they were a Kings of Leon fan. Sean's going to tell us a little bit more about that here in just a second, but big fan, big fan. We, of course,
is this the first Kings of Leon?
It is. I did a search through all the episodes. We never played Kings of Leon before, if you can believe that.
That is surprising.
It is very surprising. Very surprising. We are, of course, fittingly in the Diamondback Land Surveying studio this evening.
Yes, with Mr. Diamondback Land Surveying with us today.
Mr.
We'll
DBLS
get him
himself.
in here a little bit.
We will indeed. We have to mention that we are in the midst of National Surveyors Week.
We are.
And today,
I felt like it was.
You felt the love.
Yeah, I just felt this love
everywhere
from the
you went.
Community.
There was like this warm cloud above you.
Yeah,
just
gotta admit.
Embraced you and showed you love, right?
It's a warm cloud that I get right here. Or maybe it's this mezcal. I don't know.
And it's not from wetting your bed at night. It's not that kind of warm.
No.
Not that. And today just happens to be Global Surveyors Day.
Look at that.
Huge day. Big day.
It is a big day in the surveying profession.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. A lot of cool things going on across the country, across the world, actually. If you follow along, lots of cool stuff happening. Real quick, we got to mention LiDAR News, lidarnews.com, new media partner of the Geoholics. Yep. And if you're not subscribing to them already, make sure you go to lidarnews.com and get that digital subscription. Lots of cool stuff there. To be honest with you, I didn't follow LiDAR News that much until we got to know them a little bit. And now I check out the website and stuff, and tons of amazing content there.
There is. I was impressed.
Indeed. What's new with you, buddy?
Not a whole lot. It's been we took a break last week. We didn't have a show last week.
We didn't. Yeah, but
I was in San Diego, have a little beach trip with the family for spring break.
Yep. Indeed.
There's a new addition to the to the producer Sean compound. We got a little puppy.
That's right.
My daughter's birthday, so we took the puppy to Dog Beach in San Diego.
How'd that go?
It was
a blast.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want to see like just pure untainted joy, is a puppy hitting the beach with 100 other dogs.
Good way to get parvo.
He wasn't. Thank you for saying that, because that's all my wife was saying is, don't keep around that dog. All right, that dog's gonna give a parvo. So I'm like yanking him around. He has zero control. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Nice little break. What about you? What's new with you, my friend?
What's with the bugs tonight? Why are the bugs in here? Because it's warming up.
It's such a beautiful day. You know, they got the windows and doors open.
They're like hovering around the mezcal. I don't get it.
Oh, well, it's because it's delicious.
Maybe it is. What's new with me? So while you were in San Diego, I was in Portland.
Sounds lovely.
Have you spent much time in Portland?
In March?
Ever?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, my God. 3 words. What is going on in that city? It is insane.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's really nice places, and the company I work for just happens to be located there corporately. And our office is in a beautiful spot right on the river. It's awesome.
Yeah, I spent some time downtown. It was nice.
It's all right.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on.
They got good restaurants, stuff like that. But you get off the beaten path even just a little bit, and it's the third world country.
Really?
Essentially. Yeah. There is a road, I think it's 82nd Avenue, that our Lyft driver took it as a shortcut to get to the airport, right?
Uh-huh.
I left there feeling violated.
And you never got out of the car?
No. I mean, I'm driving. There's like literally out in the open. I'm watching like drug deals happen. There are hookers like dressed in G-strings and a tank top, like just standing on the corners. It was the weirdest thing.
I thought that'd be your kind of town.
No, there were zombies walking around all hunched over. It was bad. It was bad news. That's the bad side of Portland, I'm assuming. But either way, I'm sure it has its bright spots as well.
And it's a very lovely city.
Yep. Other than that, I got a new driver. Did I tell you that?
For your car? I didn't know that.
No, for my golf bag.
Oh. figured you'd use a Uber driver more than your golf driver.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I'm excited. Yes. I haven't bought a new driver in 5 years, probably.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of people, a lot of guys, a lot of girls, whatever. Like they got to get a new driver every year, whenever the latest and greatest technology comes up.
We're going to talk to one of them. I know.
I need TK hand-me-downs.
Yeah. He always has the latest and greatest.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. And we got to have one quick conversation about the NCAA brackets.
Oh, yeah.
Because you and I
got into it.
You had a bad day yesterday.
I did.
It explains the conversation now just a little bit. We were going back and forth on how I believe you should only enter one bracket. It is a bracket of integrity. Your belief is, as long as you're paying or whatever, you can enter 10 brackets.
Sure. Well, there's a limit. Like, we're just different gamblers, like I probably filled out 11 brackets.
11 brackets.
Yeah, with various friend groups and and some of them you can fill out 3, some of them are 2, some of them are only 1.
Yes.
And it's how much,
Yeah.
I don't see how it's not like you're submitting 1 and I'm submitting 2 and we have the same odds. Like,
right.
I'm paying for each entry.
I get it.
You're putting $10 in and I'm putting $30 in, and I have 3 entries, but I still have the same chances to get busted out.
We're going to agree to disagree on that one, but that's just fine. That's just fine.
Just fine.
So it makes us unique, right?
Yes.
Good luck on your bracket. I just looked on our Geoholics bracket of integrity challenge, and TK is right up there.
It's early. It's early.
It's early.
We're only halfway through the first day, so don't get too excited.
All right, let's get on with this. We are wasting way too much time.
We are. We haven't seen each other in a week.
Tell us about that opening number, my friend.
We talked about these guys, Kings of Leon, a song called Taper Jean Girl. Kings of Leon is an American rock band that formed in Nashville, Tennessee in 1999. Band consists of brothers Caleb Followill and Jared Followill, Nathan Followill, and their cousin Matthew Followill.
It's a lot of Followills.
It is. Throughout their career, Kings of Leon have toured extensively and earned a dedicated fan base worldwide. They are known for their dynamic live performances and have headlined major music festivals and arenas around the globe. With multiple platinum-selling albums and numerous awards to their name, Kings of Leon remain one of the most influential rock bands of the 21st century. Have you ever seen these guys live?
I've seen them twice.
I
saw them one time.
Is it a dynamic live performance?
The second time was dynamic. The first time I'm like, this band is freaking horrible. The second time I saw them, I'm like, oh my God, I love these guys. But that was probably about a 10-year span between the two times I saw them. I love them.
They finally got mainstream enough for you to like them?
Yeah, they got some new music coming out, though.
Do they really?
Although, I like the old Kings of Leon.
You like the old everything.
I'm just old.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan for sure. All right. As I mentioned earlier, we're in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studio this evening.
Had to be with TK on
all
here.
Things DBLS. Basically, if you have any survey needs west of the Mississippi, you should probably be calling on Trent Keenan and Diamondback Land Surveying. You can visit their website, of course, diamondbacklandsurveying.com. In addition to that, here's a couple other things that Trent's got going on. He has Roundtable Tuesdays, right? Which is a really cool group discussion. Roundtabletuesdays.xyz. He has Wisdom Wednesdays, Wisdom Wednesdays.xyz, which is a platform where they discuss some of the more influential works of art? No, books.
Literature.
Works of literature. Exactly.
You're trying to make that fancy, and it kind of broke down.
We'll call it the Bibles of Land Surveying, which is super cool. Yeah. And then he doesn't know this, but he's also got Thirsty Thursdays.
Yeah, I was going to ask him. He's got like a couple of days open, so like Freaky Friday or something.
Freaky Friday, freakyfriday.xyz. Just go there. You're going to find Trent for sure. Next up, we have the Geomax Weekly Service Pro Tip. Of course, you can find them at geomax-positioning.com. What do you got this week?
Well, everyone's heard of this guy, but I do really like this quote. Our mission statement about treating people with respect and dignity is not just words, but a creed we live by every day. And I like this part. You can't expect your employees to exceed the expectations of your customers if you don't exceed the employees' expectations of management.
Bingo.
I mean, it's really hard. That was, you know who that was? Of course you do, because you're looking at it. It's Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks.
I think they've done pretty well.
You really can't argue with that second sentence there.
And that's the best part.
Yeah. I mean, I
totally agree.
It speaks for itself.
And it's very applicable to basically any line of business.
It is.
For sure. Yeah, really good stuff. That was good. Way to go finding that one. Great quote.
Yeah, I dug it out.
Next up, we have the GeoSearch Job of the Week. You can find them at geosearch.com. This week, is that me? Is that you?
Is this me?
What's that? This week, their client seeks an aerial mapping LiDAR professional to join their geospatial team. They value relevant educational or job experience related to LiDAR and photogrammetry projects, a background in ground control, LiDAR editing, quality control, data formatting, metadata, and coordinate systems is a plus. A couple requirements include a bachelor's degree in a related field. That could be GIS, geography, photogrammetry, remote sensing, cartography, survey, and if you're like me, architecture. 7 years of experience in the geospatial industry or related field would be nice. The ability to travel as needed for conference presentations. Interesting. Other desired skills and experiences include educational or work experience in business administration, earth sciences, geography, remote sensing, land surveying, or related disciplines. ASPRS certification in remote sensing would be a plus. And of course, familiarity. How do you say that?
I'm letting you die on that vine.
Familiarity with USGS 3-depth LiDAR program. Visit geosearch.com to find out more.
Nicely done.
Let's get our guests.
That's the first GIS job posting that we've done. I think
it's not really GIS though. It's kind of like
aerial
mapping,
the first traditional non-survey
mapping, something like that. Yeah, one of those. Yep, you're right. Let's get our guests in here. Of course, we have the one and only Trent Keenan with us, and Christian. And I'm so mad at myself for not confirming how to say this last name. I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to give it a shot. Cernauskas.
That's really close. No, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's not too bad.
No.
All right. Good. So first, let's get TK in here. Just real quick, TK, remind people who you are, what you do, and what your first car was.
Oh, I like that one. I am Trent Keenan. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I started surveying when I was 19 years old. I've been surveying for 28 years. Own a company called Diamondback Land Surveying, of course. And then you already went over a few of the other ones, but you missed the Mentoring Mondays one.
I can't believe you didn't say Mentoring Mondays.
And then
I'm an idiot.
You did Roundtable and Wisdom, but Mentoring Mondays, and then obviously Get Kids in the Survey West Coast as well. So
get it on my paper.
You ran out of space. I'm sorry. You ran out of space. And then,
to be honest, Trent, you do so much. It's hard to get your highlights in a 30-second reel.
I know. And jokingly, I'm looking to do something from like a weekly study group session. And so it was going to be geared kind of around the CST. So I was like thinking like CST Tuesdays or CST Thursdays type stuff.
I like
it. Something will pop up
Thursdays.
eventually. So I don't want to step on CST and learn CST's toes. So I started the conversation with Glenn Thoreau already, but so something will be coming around with some kind of weekly study group. We talked about it again, even on this week's Mentoring Mondays, about having some type of study group session. So,
yeah, you know what's so funny? On my notes, I had Mentoring Mondays and I had Get Kids in the Survey West Coast, and I didn't say either of them.
You ran out
of time. It, but I thought you just ran out of time.
That's right.
Good Lord! All right. Fair enough. What was your first car, TK?
My very first car I bought, I was 11 years old, and it was a 1960 El Camino.
Yes,
but
put a mattress in the back of that baby.
Right?
Did you just say that you were 11 years old when you bought your first car?
I started working when I was 11, so I'd been delivering newspapers and doing all these things morning and night, and so I've always messed around with stuff. But the first car I drove was a 1988 Toyota four-wheel drive. So pickup truck. But yeah, no,
love it.
I've had so many cars, and I can't even imagine at this point. So,
do you go through cars like underwear? It's ridiculous.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Christian, let's bring you in here. Tell us who you are, who you're with, what you do, and what was your first car?
Sure. So first, my name's Christian. I am not a surveyor. I do want to get that right out of the way. But I do work with a lot of great surveyors. So I work for NCEES, which is the National Council of Examiners for Engineering and Surveying. I'm a marketing and communications outreach strategist. And I've been working with NCS in one capacity or another since about 2015.
Oh, wow. So you've been around for a bit.
I have. I've seen a few things.
Very cool. So you work with some pretty great surveyors. Do you work with some not so great surveyors as well?
You know,
I'm
greatness
kidding.
has
I'm
various
kidding.
levels.
What was your first car?
It's a great question. It was a 1988 Ford Tempo Rust Red. And rusting too. So, you got that
Ford
texture.
Tempo.
So,
Interesting. So we kind of did a little bit of an icebreaker there, but we're going to do one more because we have to do the Trimble geospatial icebreaker as we do every episode.
We do.
This week's question, Trent, you go first. What do you consider to be the one personality trait that makes you successful?
Simple. Work my ass off.
I like it. Fair enough.
Since I've been 11 years old. So, yeah.
Who knew TK was working illegally?
Paper boy. I was a paper boy.
Yeah.
Until I could actually work at a real job. And then that real job when I turned 16 was a car wash. And then
car wash.
And then a car wash. So I worked delivered newspapers from 11 till I was 16. So actually through almost till I was 17, I did both of those jobs.
So candid question. Who do you attribute your work ethic to?
My whole dad's side of the family. My grandpa was an entrepreneur, so it was just, and definitely my dad. My dad was always, unfortunately, I lost him in September, but my dad was always working his ass off no matter what. I really wanted to say, even during my dad's eulogy when I was doing it, was my dad would spend $1.10 to make $1 just so he could keep working. That kind of stuff.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and I didn't say it as part of his eulogy, but I do as part of his kind of legacy. I jokingly say, like, he would spend $1.10 just to make $1 to keep, so he would keep moving. And so that's really where I get it from. Both my parents, really. My mom does so much side jobs as well between quilting and all these different things. So it comes from family genetics.
Love it. Christian, how about you?
Sure. It's a good question. I'd probably say curiosity. I really like, taking 15 ideas, tossing it at the wall and seeing which one sticks and then why, and going back and kind of reverse engineering and seeing why that worked best out of the 15. And so I'd say curiosity.
That's a good one.
Interesting. Yeah. Sean, you got something?
You made me take this stupid personality.
Did you take it?
Yeah.
Did you take it?
Yeah, the Russo Hudson Enneagram type indicator.
Yes. What did it say? You got to share your results with me. This is like going to be the best day ever.
Oh, I thought you got them because you sent me the link for it.
Well, how long ago did you do it?
Yesterday.
I didn't get that. No, you got to forward them to me. Was it eye-opening? Oh my God. I am good. I have so many questions right now. I can't even, my mind is blown. First of all, that you did it already.
I'm not that much of an asshole. Every once in a while,
pretty much, but not that much.
The top two was the Challenger and the Achiever.
What were the numbers?
22 and 21.
No. What were 8 and 3?
Oh, 8 and 3.
Same as me.
No way.
I swear to God, 8 and 3, Challenger and Achiever.
But we are like oil and water.
But what I did, because we're getting way off track here. But what I did find out after further review, I definitely identify as an achiever. More so than a challenger.
Okay, I haven't dug in anymore, but we'll talk about it.
I'm so happy. You just made my night.
Oh
my gosh,
about something I gotta at least try it.
That's awesome.
I would say it's the I don't know what that means or anything, but I would say similar to Trent though. Work ethic. It's like
work ethic.
I don't know. Yeah. I got lucky. My parents gave it to me.
Yep.
And I retained it
100%
from my dad. I saw him work his ass off his entire life.
100%.
So
Yep.
That's just what you do, and that always pays off.
I love it. And I was going to say the exact same thing. I mean, my dad was the hardest freaking worker I ever have known in my life, would work 14-hour days, like nonstop, 7 days a week. And but I'm going to say, that is definitely part of my core for sure. But just like either resourcefulness or resiliency are a couple things that come to mind.
For yourself?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Those don't come to mind for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even going to ask. We got a lot to talk about, buddy. I'm so excited. All right. All right. So let's get into the meat of the matter here. We are, of course, here during National Surveyors Week on Global Surveyors Day.
Surveyors
to talk about what?
What are we talking about?
Land surveying.
Of course.
Good Lord. I teed that one up for you and you still got it wrong.
Yeah, just because I hope one day it's going to be something different.
the whole premise of the geoholics.
Hey, when it's your show, you can do whatever you want.
Slowly
All right.
itching my way in.
So I put some questions together here. I was thinking about this today, and bear with me because this is going to lead into a really good conversation. So Trent, this is for you. Lots of times we talk about, oh my gosh, land surveying has evolved so much over the last 20 years, right? Which it of course has, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it's evolved even more rapidly over the last 5 years.
Yep.
Would you agree with that, Trent?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Just with the technology, obviously between, drones and LiDAR and 3D scanning and even down to GPS, right? I mean, it's still the same GPS we've been using, or I've been using since 1995, but the different, technology in the GPS, right? Things are getting more accurate and more reliable through different signals and that kind of stuff, right? And so it's that's even changed in the last quite a bit in the last 5 years with different receiver technologies and stuff like that. So, yeah, I completely agree. Drones. I mean, I think I bought our first drone in 2016, and so technically it's been around about 8 years. But really, in the last couple of years, in that 5-year window, I would say is really when we've really implemented a lot of it, and really a lot more implementation in the last couple of years. So, and the same with the 3D scanning on the LiDAR side. So it's it's rapidly changing, right? And so it's only going to change faster in the next 5 years.
Yep. And Christian, I know you've been around since 2015, I think you said. So you've seen a little bit. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, I think that's one of those things that, and I don't want to pigeonhole anything. Technology in the last 5 years has grown in kind of across the board in every profession. I could talk in marketing and videography, the cameras from 2019 to even today. So the last 5 years have gone crazy, So, and of course that means that with videography, some of that's imaging and sensors, which kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the surveying equipment. So it has just rapidly grown, and it's not slowing down. At least it doesn't seem that way.
Well, and even to Christian's point, I was going to say, I bought a Sony to shoot Milky Way pictures, right? Years ago, it was a 12 megapixel camera. Well, now my Sony camera is 61 megapixels, right? A7R4.
Yep.
And there's already A7R5s.
Yep.
And that's only been in a 5-year window. So
absolutely.
Yep.
But I'm just curious from Christian's point of view, because this is NC. There's 2 E's there.
Yeah,
maybe there's an E in a surveyor. So I'm curious the technology growth in surveying. Do you see how is that compared in the general engineering space? Do you see that same trajectory in technology?
I mean, that's a good question. As far as it goes to the exams, our exams go through a PAC study every 3 to 5 years to try to make sure that we're staying current on everything that's happening in the field. So every 3 to 5 years, we have the professional. So PACS is professional activities and knowledge study. So that does happen every 3 to 5 years for all our exams across the board. And that is to stay current. And
So, Christian, real quick for Sean and others like him, would you please let us know what NCEES stands for?
So it's the National Council of Examiners, since we create the exams of engineering and surveying. So that's where the second E is.
Got it. Perfect. You feel better now?
I do.
Good.
I got to get my little plug in there,
Of course. Absolutely. So, okay, let's springboard off of that a little bit. So technology is advancing. It's almost like a second industrial revolution.
It's almost like you've heard that before.
Where might have did somebody say that on a previous show?
I was going to say, even at GeoWeek, they talk about Industrial Revolution 5.0, right? That's where we're technically.
See that?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they went.
All right. So I didn't just.
They went through. They talked about it at GeoWeek as well as part of some of the keynotes. But the different levels.
You've heard it so many times, it just kind of morphed into your own idea.
Yeah. Now it's 5.0. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So I think surveyors, as a result, face a lot of challenges, and it's like there's still a lot of old school surveyors that exist that are more resistant to not only change but new technology. The old school methods work. Blah blah blah. There's some truth to that, but talk about the challenges that surveyors face right now, adapting to the new technologies.
I would say the biggest one sometimes is from a business standpoint, right? They're just not making enough money to be able to invest, or setting enough money aside over the last few years to invest. And so obviously, I mean, to equip a survey truck nowadays with kind of top of the line type stuff, right? You're looking $150,000, $200,000 by the time you buy the truck, the equipment, and put everything in there. And so by still using traditional, I mean, you see it all over Facebook, the traditional R8s, TSE3s, Nikon type total station stuff that's been around since, 2005, 2008. They're just not investing into it. And then there's two sides. One, they're so busy, they don't want to implement it. And they don't have time to proof it,
Yep.
Or case study it. And so there's just the fear of reliability on using it, that kind of stuff, the data management side of things, right? So if you get into the LiDAR and the 3D scanning, they don't have server capacity to be able to hold that kind of data. We need a new server this year, and it's $25,000 server to buy this year, right? So it's just everything adds up over time, the training, the education, everything to be able to kind of implement that new technology is where you've heard me talk about it many a times about how small most surveying firms are in the country. And so there's just not enough time and money and resources to be able to invest into it. And that's why I think we're always behind the eight ball. So
this portion of the program brought to you by GeoMax Positioning. GeoMax Positioning manufactures and delivers a comprehensive portfolio of integrated construction and surveying solutions, including reliable instruments and easy-to-use software.
From robotic total stations and GNSS receivers to their user-friendly XPAD software, GeoMax solutions are designed with feedback from loyal dealers and hardworking customers in the field, just like you, Kent.
Indeed, as a part of Hexagon, they're not just about creating products that work when you do. They're about creating experiences that simplify your work, saving you time and money, working smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. What sets these guys apart is their unwavering dedication to their customers. There's a personal human element to all their customer interactions, from product training to technical support to sales managers invested in your success. They're here to serve you, to make your life easier.
With GeoMax, you're not just investing in products, you're investing in a partnership. You're investing in the future. Boom.
Find out more, visit geomax-positioning.com.
Yeah, great perspective there, TK. So in addition to hardware technology that is advancing at such a rapid pace, there's also the artificial intelligence or automation side of things that's starting to creep in and play more of a role in the broad profession of land surveying. What do you see as far as that goes?
I would just say more of the machine learning algorithms, right? That kind of stuff. We met with Navis a couple of weeks ago and did a demo with them and ran through a lot of their processes and how they kind of back in the data sets. And so, of course, Airworks, right? In their machine learning on how they're doing the drone processing stuff. It's only going to get better as the more machine learning happens. You guys still got that bug. The machine learning continues to grow and all that stuff, all of a sudden we're doing identifying, and even Carlson, right? All these guys are starting to get into a lot of the machine learning side of the algorithms. And so I think that even in probably the next 3 years is probably going to be a lot of the game changer side of things. So,
yep. Exactly. Yep. And Christian, I promise we're going to loop you in here in just a second because you got some important stuff to talk about.
I'm fine sitting on the sidelines for this.
Before we get there. So Trent, we're headed down this path strategically. So technology advancing at a record rapid rate, artificial intelligence and automation. How is this changing the skill sets that are required for people that are interested in getting into the profession of land surveying?
We're not after, for the last 40 years, we've been after the math students at high schools, right? Now we're after the computer science majors. We're after the gaming students. We're after the programmers. We're after all of these different ones who can visualize the kind of the geospatial side of things when it comes to 3D point clouds and LiDARs and that kind of stuff. I've been doing tons of outreach, high school outreaches and that kind of stuff this year. And even I had conversations. I went to a high school here locally in Las Vegas, and I signed up to go for 2 different presentations, and she had a total of 8 students signed up. By the time I got done doing the first presentation, she went and grabbed every class she could think of, and I ended up doing 12 presentations to like 68 kids as pretty much as fast as we could, because in my presentation I would talk about if you enjoy gaming, if you enjoy technology, if you enjoy these certain aspects, and I would go through a lot of the kind of the pieces and parts that would, and maybe think about the kids getting into kind of a 3D spatial world. She went and grabbed the gaming kids. She went and grabbed the computer science kids. She went and grabbed the CAD kids. They signed up. She signed up as if they were interested in surveying, but then she went and got all the teachers and was like, you need to come in and listen to this presentation. And so we're not after, we've been after the same, we talk about with the TrigStar exam, right? It's been kind of our one main outreach for many years. Now we can talk about it in a little bit, but the Future Cities is another one. But there's the aspect of now of going after the gaming kids, going after the computer science kids, the programming kids, all these different things. The other one that we're still missing the boat on a lot, I think, is on the history side of things, with the kids that love the history and law, right? We talk about those as well. Even in my presentations, I talk about if you're problem solving, critical thinking. And one of the ones I heard somebody else talk about throwing down a jigsaw puzzle down on the floor and just showing the kids, if you enjoy jigsaw puzzles and putting the jigsaw puzzles together, this is probably a career for you. And you go down the whole parcel fabric of how we put parcels together in deeds and that kind of stuff. And so you just start to really make the kids start thinking about other things that you can do in that career. And then the other one that I had a conversation with was it was a CTE school, Career Technical Education High School, but they had teachings like teaching assistants and teaching kids that would come through. And I even told those students, like, we need professors, like, go learn our surveying profession. And then if you enjoy the teaching aspect of it, learn the profession and then become a professor, because we need as many professors as we do licensed professionals, right? And so you can have 10,000 different variations of conversations with these kids at high school and middle schools. That aspect where I also talk about, a lot of kids are getting into these career technical educations and making high school decisions in the 8th grade. So when we're doing a lot of our outreach at high school, we're missing the boat with all these kids that are saying, hey, I'm signing up for this CTE workforce curriculum in the 8th grade. They don't even know about the profession at that point, right? And so we're missing the boat on the middle school side as well. So, which is where NCs came in with the Future Cities and that kind of stuff. So we can kind of roll that path in there. But
so you touch on about a half a dozen things here that we're going to circle back on in just a minute, which is fantastic. But let's dive into the numbers here just a little bit. That's, one of the reasons we have Christian here, of course, because he's kind of tracking these trends and things of that nature. Talk about some of the things that look really promising and some of the things that might be a little more alarming, Christian.
Sure. One of the things that we could talk about is exam volume. Every year, NCES puts out this publication, and it's called Squared. And it usually comes out in February or March. So ours from 2023 just came out recently. And basically, it's a year-end review look at the numbers of examinees. So yes, this goes for engineering as well, but it also goes for surveying. And I pulled the last couple of years just to kind of take a look at the history of where we've been. So in 2018, I could tell you we had, and this is a total number of takers, 1,216 takers in 2018. And this is for the FS exam.
That's nationwide?
That's nationwide. So in 2018, we had about 1,200 people taking the FS exam.
1,200?
Yes.
All 50 states?
All 50 states.
Oh boy!
And does that sounds low to you? Doesn't it?
That sounds alarmingly low.
I can say I didn't go back that much further, but I can tell you I believe in 2015 it was lower, and so I think this has been trending up.
So
really, okay.
I know they talk about total takers and versus first time takers, and so I'll let you continue. But there's a big difference between first time and repeat takers.
Yes. What number was that you just gave us, Christian? Is that first
time?
That
was total takers. That was total takers. So first time takers there was in 2018, and again, this is going back 6 years. Was 783 for the first time takers. In
783 first time takers in 2018. Okay.
Yep.
604 in 2015. If you wanted to go back down. Go back down.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So,
we're trending up. I don't be downer, and I'll let Christian finish. So we are
exactly. So and then we could and again, I'll just kind of go through some of the data, and I know data is kind of hard hearing verbally. But in 2019, there's about 1,300, so there's 1,372 overall takers, right? So that's including both first time and repeat takers. And then in 2020, that shot down quite a bit, and that's because a lot of the testing centers were closed, right? So the FS is it's a online exam.
It's online. Okay.
So you go, it's a computer-based exam. Excuse me, I misspoke. It's not online. It's a computer-based exam. You go to a Pearson VUE testing center that's been approved by NCS and take your exam there. So since a lot of the test centers were shut down for a few months of 2020, that went down that year, and there was 1,142 total test takers. But then in 2021, we saw a jump back up. So things, and this is kind of, we saw across all of our exams. One, because a lot of people they held out for 2020. And then once things started opening back up, there was a leap in pretty much all of our exams across the board for 2021. And that was 1,600 and just over 1,600 takers overall. For first time takers, it was 1,000, just above 1,000. And then 2 years ago in 2022, there was 1,700 total takers. First time takers, there was 1,100. And now we're moving to this year. So if you see the trend, it's going up quite a bit ever since COVID, and honestly trending upwards probably since about 2015. Slowly, but it is trending upward. This year was a pretty big jump. So from 1,700 to in 2022 to this year in 2023, we had 2,123 takers.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's up 20% from the previous year. So the trend is moving upward, and this year was a pretty big leap for the FS exam.
What do you contribute that to, other than Trent Keenan started to do get kids in the survey?
I 100% attribute it to basically only Trent. I think that there's awesome. a variety of factors, and I mean, Trent, you could kind of speak on this. I think there's a lot of different things. We have been seeing it trend upward for, I'd say, the last 10 years. Has it been slow? Absolutely. Its increase is something else to kind of take note of. I think colleges are doing a little bit better job. I think there's different things in regulations right now that's happening. I don't want to attribute it to a single thing. But Trent, if you have any insights you want to share, please go for it.
No, and I know we'll talk about the PS numbers as well, but
Sure.
it was very weird that I started tracking all of this when I first wrote the article for the Nevada Traverse in 2020. But as Christian says, everything has been trending up. We did have a fairly decent dip in 2020, and I was curious to see how it would really rebound. But we're now, 21, 22, and 23, and we're still up. And so what I like to put together, and I know it's a little bit different than other people, but I take first-time takers times the pass rate plus repeat takers times the pass rate. And so that way you have those that number, you would have basically 1,120 passers in 2023 on path to full licensure or are on the path to licensure, right? Which is up 20%, as Christian said, up 20% from 901 in 22. And so I take the numbers and go pass rates, because the pass rate is first time taker pass rate for 23 is 61, overall 61%. And then a repeat pass takers is 37%. And so you take all these different numbers, and I like to see that kind of data set. So those are the ones I put together.
Can you guys talk a little bit about pass rate and what that, not necessarily to brag about it or not brag about it, but how is that an indicator, and what do you do with that data
for the FS we're talking about right now?
We're on the FS.
Sure.
I'll just throw out. So again, through the Squared report, if you look, this is the best data that's available, and I love the Squared reports. But first time takers 1,048, 56% pass rate without a BET college degree. 300.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
348. With an ABET accredited. It doesn't mean it's might be in surveying. It might be an engineering student or something, but they're from an ABET accredited college. That pass rate is 56%. There's 20 points higher because of the college education, it's attributed to the style of test that the FS is now, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
And then also repeaters. There's 601 repeaters, but the repeat pass rate is only 36%. So you've got 20-point jump. So repeat at 36%. First time takers without college is 56%. And then college education is 76% pass rate.
Oh, 76.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha,
76.
Yeah. So if
Wow.
you have a bachelor's degree, it is 76%. And that's from 2023. That's the data from this year.
Yep.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So what's the target?
I mean,
like, where do you guys want to go?
Are you happy with that pass rate? Like, does that tell you the test is good or that you need to make some adjustments?
I think the pass rate has been pretty standard, at least among first-time test takers for quite a long time. I mean, I will say the fundamentals of surveying exam, the FS exam, is a exam that is literally created for that 4 years of a surveying degree in a bachelor's environment. That's the exam. That's how the exam was created. So it makes sense that the person that has that 4-year degree has a higher pass rate. I mean, that's just how it is. So, I mean, and these numbers, if we really wanted to get into it, and it doesn't go that far into squared, but like if you have higher experience compared to a 2-year degree, I'm sure those numbers are going to be different comparatively to having a 2-year degree and only say 6 years experience or 4 years experience. So really, it's where does that come into play?
Yeah. And I will say that, I mean, obviously I took this 20 some years ago, but the FS exam was probably to date the hardest exam I have ever taken. I was very fortunate to have passed it on the first go round, which says either I'm really smart or a good test taker. You be the judge. Well, no, not you.
Don't look at me because it's a big fat neither.
But I think that exam does need to be difficult, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Well, how do you make it difficult but not discouraging?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think it's very fair. If you look at the pass rates, I think it is fair. And to Christian's point, so Rob in our office, he's surveying 22 years. He decided to finally go after his initial licensing, and he passed the FS and the PS last year. So no college education, but he's got 22 years of surveying experience. He was able to pass the FS and the PS on the first tries, right? And so to Christian's point, it goes without looking at the data and everybody's single application, how many years of experience do you have? That kind of stuff. I mean, all of that is definitely going to play into it for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I said, the bachelor's degree is 76%, and the others, and so other is a lump category. It's not tracking, years of experience or anything is at 56. So that's could be anything really.
In some universities, as part of your final exam, the FS is
the final exam.
That's true. That's very true.
And that adds to the higher pass rate because they're using it as a final, part of their graduation requirements. And so they're being able to do it while everything's fresh in their mind too. So,
Yep. So
I got a quick question just about that because the rule around our office is we're in the engineering part is we're trying to encourage guys to get their EIT certification or engineering training certification. And the rule is take it while you're in school as much as you can. And every year after school, you get a little bit dumber.
Yeah. Well,
and
what's that say about?
Is that the same thing?
What's that say about you?
Yeah.
Well, when I pass the FS and get my RLS, then that's going to put you in your place.
When that happens, which I pray that happens, that will be one of the most celebrated days of my life.
How many people take the test just for spite?
I don't think we have numbers on that. But there's always a new one. So yeah,
there's a new category.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God.
Definitely to that point, Sean, there is even some licensing boards are allowing those to take the PS and the FS while it's still fresh and then gain their experience afterwards and then apply for licensure. So
that's where I was kind of
while everything's fresh in your mind. Yeah.
Hold on a second. You said some licensing boards, but not all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and say there are. I couldn't tell you the exact amount of states that are doing this, but there are several that it's a process called decoupling. So you could take the FS exam and essentially go right ahead without your 4 years of experience or whatever your state requires. Go ahead and take the PS exam if you feel like you are able. Now, does that mean that you're going to pass the first time with almost no experience? I don't know. But also, does that mean you get your PS license right after? No, you still need the experience. So you still need all these categories, both exams and the experience. But some states have allowed you to take both exams back to back, as it were.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't. That's as far as the back-to-back thing. That seems a little rushed. But like you said in Rob's case, where it's like, why he doesn't need to take one and then wait for 4 more years or wait for anything.
Yeah, but Rob is like,
well,
how do we? Rob's 1 from Philadelphia. 2, he's been mentored by TK. There's a lot going on there.
But we did talk about this with Davey a couple weeks ago about everyone's path is very different.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you guys are seeing this. And I'm sure what have you done to accommodate because it seems like we need more test takers and sometimes the trajectory is to be more restrictive and those two can't coexist. So what have you guys done?
And the only thing I'll add to that is some of the best surveyors I've ever worked for, including my mentor for 10 years when I first started, had a high school diploma and that's it. Right. But it might be that the surveyor today is a different animal than the surveyor 30 years ago.
What are you guys doing as far as I know we talk a lot about outreach, but to make the awareness of those that are not on that same track?
Go ahead. You want to go, Christian?
I'll let you take the wheels and then kind of chime in.
Yeah. So I will say, in my instance, I will say in a lot of the outreach that I've been going to, believe it or not, there's a ton of high schools that want career paths without college education. They are pushing away from the college education right now.
100%.
And so
I mean,
they're looking for those careers that are there that they can do without it.
And let me, before you keep going, is surveying one of those careers?
It can
depend. It can be. So it absolutely can be. That doesn't mean. I mean, yes, there is the professional pathway to be a professional without, in some states, without any education, and then there's some that have the 2-year degree. But being a surveying technician, passing the CST exam, those are all pathways, and I'd say still in the profession of surveying. You're still,
and that's what I push is if you're looking for. Depending on the state, of course, and I tell them, at least from my aspect, in the West Coast, Idaho is a 2-year degree, Utah is a 2 degree, Arizona is experience only, California is experience only, Oregon and Washington are experience only. And so I know you want to kind of talk about numbers on those, but we'll get into that conversation. But it's like it's an awareness issue. It's not necessarily a barrier to entry sometimes, and we can get into that. So
got it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So just let's make note. This is going to be a 2-hour episode at this rate. Sean's got to be.
He usually is.
Sean's got a 6:40 stop here.
6:40 Western time.
We'll get there. I promise.
All right. So that was some really good information about the FS. Share a little bit about the PS.
Yeah. And for those unaware, FS is the fundamentals of surveying. That's the first exam.
Yep.
That's the one that the kids take to start the track. And does that get them their LSIT certification? Is that a thing?
That changed a little bit because when I was a young surveyor, it was LSIT. It wasn't FS, but FS is now that's now the new SIT, right?
What do you call a kid that just passed their FS? An FS?
SIT.
Yeah, it's usually SIT, but each state I think is a little bit different. It might be an LSIT. So the state is the one that provides the certification after passing the exam, and then also the license, right? So NCS has nothing to do with the actual licensing of surveyors.
Sure.
We just create the examinations for that process.
I'd say that's a big part of getting licensed.
It is a pretty big part.
He's like, we have nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with
we
it.
just create the exams.
But you have to pass our test and only our test. So PS is professional. He is professional surveyor. Yeah. So that's the professional surveyor exam.
Yeah. But then you have to take the state jurisdictional too.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, what about what are the numbers on the PS?
Sure. I mean, and I don't want to go through and bore with all the numbers, but
keep in mind our audience here, Christian. So just saying,
you can bore us.
Numbers is kind of
a thing, right?
Kind of the thing.
And so they're very reminiscent of the FS numbers, right? So like if we go further back into 2018, it was around 500 first time takers, 200 repeat, and then again we had the the 2020 dip, the 2020 drop off, where that went close to 400 first time takers. And now we're here at 2023, and we're at, for first time takers, 830 first time takers and 413 repeat takers. So again, that's from 2022 as up about 18 or 20% from the previous year. So again, we're trending upward, and 2023 was a good year.
Yeah.
What about passing rates?
Yep. And so I was going to say those too. So with that, the 830, we've never been that high all the way back. Squared reports back to 2014. And so it's 2014 was basically 647 in total takers. It was trending down. There was a big spike in 2017, and then it was trending down again. And now we've been on a really good climb the last few years. And so talk about that.
And I will say the PS exam went to computer-based examination in 2016. So that's one of the reasons usually these tests usually take a hit as people are so used to, if they're doing it one way. It's been pencil and paper since the first time we've taken this exam, and when it switches over, there's usually the exam rates take a hit, and so that's could have been what it was, but it's been trending upward ever since then.
Yeah. Well, this is all good news, Trent, right?
It truly is. And that's why I was saying we didn't want to be Debbie Downers. The truly is the numbers are trending in the right way. Again, going back to on the flip side of it, 830 first-time takers, 65% pass rate overall. 413 takers, repeat takers with a 42% pass rate. So meaning 713 total passers in 2023. Up 13% from 22, which was 620. So again, we're trending in the right way. And so we don't want to be total Debbie Downers, but when you look at the overall, the squared report goes into actual overall licensees and that kind of stuff. And then all of the research that I had done in 2020, on average, most licensing boards that I got data back was over 44% over the age of 61. And so if you look at the data of the latest NC's report is 34,011 individual single state licensees that we don't add those. I don't add the multi licenses in there because if you look at the NC's report, it would say there's basically close to 50,000 licensed surveyors, but that includes people with multi states. So individual single state licensees, resident state, meaning one home, is 34,011. And then you take that, you could look like we're going to lose close to 15,000 in the next 10 years, which would say, in theory, 1,500 should be passing the PS exam. And so we're still at net losses. So we're trending in the right way, but we're still at net losses.
And that's where I was going, is what's the goal? And it sounds like the goal is, big round numbers, 1,500 a year, and we're still about halfway there.
That's because we're all as busy as shit right now, and can't imagine having less surveyors than we have at 34,000 currently. And so again, the squared report on the licensee numbers, and I think there's so many anomalies in there because when you start to bar graph it, it does not pencil out. It'll be 36,000, 33,000, 38,000, 34,000, right? NC's relies on every state licensing board to report the numbers, and if there's some of their issues.
People let their license lapse and then they renew. So it's really hard. Or they turn into a multi-state license because they want to get licensed in two states. It's one of those things.
So I would say the overall licensee, like resident surveyor, is probably that 34,000 number. It's probably pretty close to that. 34, 35,000 licensed surveyors in the country that have their initial license in one state. Now add another 12 to 15,000 dual licensees to it. But
I got to get in this before we keep going. I don't know if you know this, Christian, but how does this compare on the engineering side certification? Is there as much of a need, and is it trending the same way?
There's not.
I know.
There's not a need. Dude, you're like a dime a dozen.
I know.
Yeah.
There's more surveyors. For civil, I don't have the numbers open right in front of me, but they're doing well.
Yeah, there's a half a million engineers in the country. There's
compared to 34,000 surveyors.
Yeah.
There's 100.
Yes.
There's 119,000 licensed architects in the country, and there's 1.3 million or almost 1.4 million attorneys. So surveyors in general at 34,000, 35,000 don't even compare to any numbers.
Yes.
TK, based on
that's
that
the problem.
information, we should be getting paid at least 3 times what attorneys are getting paid.
Again, that goes back to surveyors and businnesmen.
Good luck with that.
Surveyors and businessmen do not go together.
Whole nother episode.
Yes, that goes a whole 2-hour episode.
But I can say, as far as in the last few years, as a person that hires both,
Yeah.
and as far as those with licensure, there is not now a professional land surveyor commands more compensation than a professional engineer,
And rightfully so, based on those numbers.
Based on the
right?
it's a demand. It's a demand.
Yeah, talk about salaries just a little bit, you guys.
Yeah, I was in Washington a couple weeks ago, and we, as part of my outreach presentation, and then we rolled into a kind of a roundtable outreach conversation at the Washington Surveyors Conference. But one of the guys in the room was a dual licensee. He is a PE and an LS, and he talks about
those guys are the worst. They're the worst.
Some are good, some are.
You just wait, buddy.
So with that conversation, he says, it's very difficult with the wage separations. He gets recalls from recruiters all day long that as a PE to lead a department, he can get a salary of $200K. As a surveyor to be a department head, he's going to be somewhere in the 90 to 110 range. And so
underpaid.
And so there's still, I still think there's such a discrepancy between some of those numbers, and we're not there yet. But I really see a big dip in the next probably 5, 6, 7 years when a lot of these retirees start to come off. And again, when we talk about the numbers, right, there's still a hole. And so I think the money will come eventually a little better than it is coming right now. But it's interesting with that conversation when the PEs, from a recruiter standpoint, I can get you a department head for $200K right now, or I can get you a survey position for 90 to 110. And so,
yeah, but 90 to 110.
You can't fill that position.
Wait, but it seems very low. But is that for a department head position?
That's what he was saying in the conference. Yeah, he would be a survey manager at an engineering firm, right?
So, I call it more a $150.
I agree. I agree. Closer to 150.
I think it's at least 150.
Yeah, I totally agree.
For sure.
But
100%.
Again, those small surveying firms with 4 and 5 man operations, that LS that's running that company is not even making 150. There's,
right.
So that's the difference. So.
Let me ask this question real quick.
I got so many questions.
I know,
Go.
but when you circle back to the outreach part, and when you're talking to the kids, what moves the needle here? Because I do this to some of my staff, and I'm like, oh yeah, if you want to make some money, do this and do this, and most of them are like, I don't really care about that. What's moving the needle, and is that salary compensation making an impact?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say anecdotally, I went over to Alfred State, which is in New York, and they have a 4-year surveying program. And I spoke with 18 students there that are surveying students in the program, both freshman, sophomore, and junior. And I interviewed them for video, and pretty much each one of them said, "Yeah, I came here because I like the outdoors and I like being paid." So I think a lot of those kids that chose the surveying path know about the potential of making a lot of money in the profession. I think it's being open and honest about how much you can make, and not trying to sugarcoat. I know some people don't like to talk about money, but I think it's like one of those things that kids are
got to talk about it.
They have to talk about it when you're talking about the profession,
for sure.
It has to be one of the first talking points.
100%. And even when we developed the PowerPoint presentation, the one for NSPS's workforce development, it was a slide that we put in there, and we had it where you could interchange it for whatever particular state you're in, but it is kids want to talk about money and what they're going to make. And so, but I also talk about the kind of almost the job placement side of it, the job security part of it.
Job security is a huge thing. Yeah.
With the kind of the numbers, right? But even the just the declining numbers of where I go with when my daughter went to OIT, Jack talked about he had 9 graduates a few years ago, and those 9 graduates had a total of 63 job offers between the 9 graduates. They all had 6 and 7 job offers. And so you use that as a selling point when you talk to these kids about going through the college degree process. Like you have 100% job placement no matter what when you come out of these.
100%.
Yeah.
And you cannot say the same thing about engineering kids.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
No.
Then those kids are told, oh, you can expect this starting salary, 60, 70 grand coming out of school. And that's just not the reality. But give me a kid with a 4-year degree and that has passed the FS. Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going to get a job offer from every firm in town.
Yeah.
Yes. And they should be demanding more money as
Sure.
well.
Absolutely.
100%. Yep. No doubt about it. These freaking bugs going to drive me insane. I
It's
swear
just
to
a
God.
fly. Just ignore it.
Yeah, but it's like right in my eyes the whole time. Let's talk about how, we talked about technology earlier, right? And how it's advancing at such a rapid rate. A lot of this technology is unregulated, right? So this is, in my opinion, cause for concern because there are a lot of people out there. I went to went to Geo Week, went to the RCN conference and stuff like that. There is like this cult of people that are doing 3D scanning, right? They're not licensed in any way, shape, or form, but yet they're providing this service. And I think that there's a lack of regulation in some cases, and then there's talk of deregulation in other cases. It just came up here in Arizona, as a matter of fact, right? They're talking about deregulation as land surveyors always get brought up into the mix. There's some serious concerns here. Would you agree, Trent?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just this month alone, right? So you have the Arizona bill that you just talked about, HB 2253, right? Which is removing the technical board of registration and sunsetting it on July 1st.
That's crazy town, right?
Sunsetting it on July 1st.
Crazy town, but unless somebody says something, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then it passed the House, but it's not being heard in the Senate, right? And so you have the flip side to that is just a couple of days ago, March 8th, we had John Joyce in Pennsylvania express the sense of Congress regarding public health and safety welfare for licensed design professionals, right? Like, I mean, we're getting mixed things going on right now, and I'd love to see that bill move forward with the sense of Congress. That's what we're all hoping for as licensed professionals, because it's given the onus to states to say how much reliability they should have on design professionals moving forward, which would really trump what's going on in Arizona. But if we don't get anything done in Arizona in the next few months, then it's a total mess. And so I think we have all of this stuff coming on, and every licensing board at this point is doing the best they can to not end up in lawsuits, not end up in deregulation, not end up in all these different conversations, to kind of do the best they can to remove barriers to entry and that kind of stuff. And but that camel under the tent keeps popping in. And sometimes it's as simple as even the military sponsored bills that came through legislation a few years ago was allowing military spouses or those that get going to different states to get licensed for private, to have practice in there without taking an exam. Well, in Nevada, we went through that. We don't necessarily not want that to happen, but we want them to still pass an exam. And so as a part of our legislative committee, we added the words must pass, state specific exam. We don't mind coming in and with, militaries, families and that kind of stuff, but still have to pass a state exam. And so we had the similar situation with removing our state exam in Nevada, and we were able to kind of come together and allow our pass rate for Nevada state specific exams, 83%. Well, we're still concerned about the 17% that can't pass an open book exam, right? And so those are the ones that we're still trying to protect the public health and safety of the public the 17% who can't pass an open book exam. So those are all of the conversations that are happening at every licensing board and NCs, and Christian's probably more involved with that, and you can dive into it a lot more. But I mean, I would love to end up at all those annual meetings, or even the regional meetings, because I love that stuff. So I'll let Christian know. He can chime in more on that.
I mean, it is, working with the state boards, that's one of the things that it's on people's minds, right? So NCS is part of, and I don't know if you've heard of this, is ARPL, which is the Alliance for Responsible Professional Licensing. So that's a lot of different national organizations. There's architects. I don't want to list all of them because I'm sure I'll leave one off the list, but it's a lot of different national associations and organizations that work together to kind of educate policymakers and the public to show the importance of licensure in specific professions like surveying and engineering. Where there's a lot of footwork going on behind the scenes, and obviously there's the licensing boards themselves, and they're staying on top of it.
So the Alliance for Responsible License, what is it? Alliance for Responsible Professional Licensing has certified public accountants, architects, professional engineers, professional surveyors, and professional architects. So that's all wrapped under ARLE. So, yep. And then there's as far as like the members and the voting members of that, ASCE is involved, NCs is involved, NSPE. Like there's lots of architectural registration board. There's a lot of big voices on there. The Certified Public Accountants, American Institute for Certified Public Accountants, that kind of stuff. So they've all doing their best to watch legislation pretty much in every one of these licensing boards, and every licensing board's doing their best they can as well, right? So yeah.
Yep. So can I proclaim right now?
Your show, buddy.
I have a man crush on Trent Keenan. This guy,
we all know that.
Geez,
that is not
this guy.
That's not a proclamation, Kent. We know this.
It's a proclamation as of today. So real quick, before we move forward, let's move back just a second, because I'm hoping that the average age of a licensed surveyor is creeping downward. Do we have any statistics on that?
Not yet. I would say it's not trending down yet. And to the point, I think, we were going to talk about it here in a little bit, but as far as licensee numbers, you look at somebody like Washington and Oregon and all these different ones. We had a strategic planning session in Nevada as far as NOWS and our state and our Surveyor Society, Nevada Association of Land Surveyors, doing a strategic planning session, right? You're looking for those emerging leaders who are going to run the state association within 5 or 10 years, right? In Nevada, we only have 14 licensed surveyors under the age of 40.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
In Washington,
that's insane.
And we have a 4-year degree requirement. In Washington, who does not have a 4-year degree requirement and has almost triple the numbers of us, only has 14 under the age of 40. Like
that's unbelievable.
That's why when I said earlier, it's an awareness issue. It's not. I know one of the questions is about education and being a barrier entry. It's not necessarily a barrier entry. It's about the awareness of the profession. There's a lot of states that require some type of education, and there's a lot of states that don't. And every state is down, no matter what way you look at it. So when you look at somebody like Washington with let me see, I have a report with theirs. It is Washington has 680 licensed surveyors, in-state licensed surveyors. They are 55.4% over the age of 61, and they only have they have 16 under the age of 40. So, and they only require 8 years of experience, right? So, no college education requirement. So, again, going back to the awareness issue, and not necessarily sometimes a barrier of entry on certain things. So
let me ask you guys. Let me ask you this, Christian. Did you have something to add to that?
I was just completely agreeing.
yeah. But wasn't Oregon in the worst situation? Because of the number of retirees versus the number of new surveyors, it's in 5 years they're going to have negative. I don't know how many surveyors it was. It was horrible.
So Oregon currently has a total of 861 licensed surveyors. 592 are in-state. 58% are under the age of 60. 42% are over the age of 61. So, and then let's see. But they're over the age of Oregon residents. They have 66, 74, 76 are under the age of 40. So total difference.
So here's what I'm hearing. The demand for surveyors is outpacing the number of surveyors that we have, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So at some point, we're going to come to a breaking point, right? I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, what's going to keep surveyors relevant going into the future?
From a non-surveyor's perspective.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think there's a reason why surveying is the second oldest profession. It's because it's needed, right? I don't think there's ever going to be not a need for a surveyor. I mean, even when we colonize Mars, or if that ever happens, or the moon or whatever, guess what? Surveyors got to go up there too, right? So this profession isn't going anywhere. The problem is that every kid that you ask that is in middle school knows what an engineer is. Every kid that you ask what is a surveyor does not know what a surveyor is. So that is our problem right now that we're facing. It's a public image thing. It's a knowledge thing, and that's something that Trent and I are actively been working on, trying to do this public education.
Yeah.
So before the three of you guys bite my head off for asking this question,
you could be. Here's what I'm thinking, Sean. I have a great idea.
Let
me say this real quick. Let me go first. You are going to be Mars PLS 0001.
I can see that.
Yes,
I can see that.
Yes.
My question was, again, please bear with me here, but with the advancement in technology, we're not saying that you don't need surveyors, but do we need less licensed professionals because of how the industry is changing?
My short answer to that is technically no. Like I said, we're already as busy as we can be. And we also we've looked at a little bit of conversation. At least I've had some conversations, and I dig into a lot of data and numbers, but it seems to be 1 LS per 4 staff members. And if you get it above that, at some point that LS is losing responsible charge, which is our ethical aspect of surveying, right? Like you can't, and that's the whole thing. Oh, a surveyor can have 50 people working for him. There's no way a surveyor can have responsible charge over 50 staff members.
No way.
And so
there's no way.
I go back to that conversation. In one, you look up at the makeup. One, you talk about firms. So we have in Diamondback, we're 32. We're 32 staff. We have 8 LSs. We've had a couple other people that were on different conversations when I was asking these questions. They might have 40 staff members and they have 10 LSs or 11 LSs. But and let's go back to even Alta, like say Alta, or well, I don't know if you can do DEAs, but like what is the makeup of certain things? What is the makeup of Alta? How many survey members to an LS? How many LSs do you have? And how many survey members?
How many LSs do you have? 2? 4? Oh no! Well, yeah.
No, 5.
5. And how many survey members in your survey department?
I probably 40.
Right.
Yeah, my initial thought was you said 4. My initial thought was probably about 6 to 8 is where the current
and you're probably closer to the 4 or 5 range, right? Like it's at some point we're going to lose the responsible charge and the ethics part of our licensee, and so. There's no way a surveyor can be in control of a 20-man operation. And if you look at the makeup of the firms, right? That doesn't exist. Like every firm is probably 1 LS, 2 crew members, and a field guy and maybe an admin, right? Like the makeup of all U.S. survey firms is 5 employees. And I've take that poll a lot of times when I do a lot of my presentations, and I started doing a business presentation as well this year, just because I feel like surveyors need a lot more business savvy things, or even help when it comes to the business side of surveying. And so I started doing a business presentation at a bunch of conferences. But when you start polling the room, there's really no more than one. I mean, if you get to it's 1 LS overseeing 10 or 15 employees, like you're going to lose that. You're going to lose that responsible charge, and that's our ethics.
TK, I hope you have this information handy, because this is one of the most astonishing things I think I ever heard. You were talking about from survey company perspective, the percentage of the different sizes of survey companies. Yeah. Do you have that information handy?
Yeah, I have it in one,
because this is mind blowing.
Yeah. I have the new one too, like the 21 data. Give me 5 seconds.
But what are your thoughts on that same question?
Yeah, exactly what you guys are doing.
Trent?
Which part?
What he just said on, do you see the need, is the number of surveyors per employee going to go down or up as
Well, I mean, I think that's a bit of a slippery slope just because of the number of surveyors, right? But
Sure.
I think that because of technology, it's going to have a massive effect on that.
but effect in what way? Do you see?
Well,
do you
I mean,
see
here-
any advancement in AI, for example, that can take some of that QCing?
This is
I
again,
know,
we're at a
slippery- I know.
very slippery
I know.
slope here. I've seen
It's a
some
wild
examples.
time. I said before I asked this question, don't bite my head off for
I've
asking it.
seen some examples of a chat GPT type thing, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody uploaded a PDF of a plat
Yeah.
and said, write me a legal description of lot 5.
What did it get you? Like 80? What was it? 75% of the way there? Or
Probably more than that.
Pretty close.
Yes.
You
It's
just need to-
unbelievable.
Right.
Agreed.
It's unbelievable.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. I'm so glad I'm closer to retirement than I'm not because I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Based on the numbers, you're not allowed to retire.
Yeah, exactly. You've got at least 20 more years.
Yeah, you've got at least 20 more years.
So the 21 data, the 21 census data is 7,382 surveying firms, again based on NAICS code, right? 541370. So 7,382, 4,368 of those firms, so 59% have less than 5 employees. And then 1,625 have 5 to 9 employees, so make up another 22%. So 81% of surveying firms in the country have less than 9 employees. And you go back to that makeup of 1 and 4.
That is mind blowing to me.
Yeah. It's
So go ahead, keep
and
going.
that, and that goes back. So if you want to go 10 to 19 employees has 855 firms. 20 to 49 have 425. 50 to 99 have 83 firms. 100 to 250 employees have 22 in the country. And 250 to 500 employees is 3. 3 firms. So
3 firms in the country.
survey, yeah. It's,
Oh my God.
so it's a lot. But it goes back to that, like the makeup. Like I said, it's 1 or 2 LSs per 5 or 6 employees. Like I can't imagine much more than that. Like in the percentage of work, right? Which those, when we talk about those mom and pops type 4 and 5, 9 employees, those are the reasons that we're not adapting to the latest technologies, right? They just don't have the money, they don't have the time or resources to be able to adapt all of that new technology.
Yep.
So surveyors are always been behind when it comes to that. So the younger ones, right? The ones that are in their 30s, starting their firms now. I mean, they're all technology driven, and so we're definitely.
You mean those 5 guys in their 30s starting their
I know.
firms now?
I'd love to see a makeup of ownership age. That'd be freaking amazing.
Well, is that something?
Wow.
And maybe Christian, you can chime in on. Is that something you talk about with outreach of? You can go and work for a big firm. I guess there's 3 of them, or you can start your own. You want to be your own boss. You can start your own business. Most of survey companies are 9 people and less. You and 3 people can have a.
Yeah, I would not want to be on an island starting my own survey company. That is a lonely place to be.
Mhm.
Except,
Yeah,
and like Trent.
but
Trent
the-
started out on an island at one point,
Yeah.
right? Where he was like on this lonely island, not a lot of support, whatever. But now he's grown it to not only an island, but a little bit of a continent.
Well, my question is back to Christian. Is he using Trent as that example for?
Trent's.
I do.
Wait, are you calling Trent like the guinea pig of surveyors?
I use myself as my own example when I talk to kids.
Yeah, he's been called worse. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's a lot of examples. So, like, I know a surveyor who works, at an engineering firm, an environmental engineering firm, but he also has his own property boundary side hustle, so that he's doing that like on the side. And I think there's a lot of different ways to go into surveying, and I think talking about the different facets of surveying, because it is not just one dimensional, right? Like it is. Excuse the pun, but this is a 3D world that we're talking about.
4D. Let's go 4D.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I like it. 4D 5.0.
Yeah.
And so, I think talking about the different avenues into surveying and the different possibilities. So you can start out at a bigger firm, and then you could go into and start your own firm once you gather that knowledge and you kind of get your base going. You could work for the forestry. You could work in the federal government if you wanted something with a pension and a more secure job. I mean, starting out in the federal government, a low tier licensed surveyor would make, I think, like close to 100K just starting out. So there's definitely avenues in a lot of different ways, and that's one of the things that we try to talk about.
This portion of the program is sponsored by Esri. Esri is the global market leader in geographic information system software, location intelligence, and mapping. Since 1969, they have supported customers with geographic science and geospatial analytics, what they call the science of where. I love that. They take a geographic approach to problem solving, brought to life by modern enterprise-grade GIS technology. Hidden patterns, trends, and relationships emerge when you visualize and analyze data on a map. This location intelligence provides unique insights that empower real-time understanding and transform decision-making. Powerful stuff right there. Beyond sophisticated maps and advanced geospatial analytics, Esri technology enables faster data sharing and more fluid collaboration. They make the world's most powerful GIS software, hands down. To find out more, visit Esri.com. TK, let me ask you something real quick. We talk to a lot of people, right? And the one thing that keeps coming up, it's like, what I'm hearing is like, at some point, all surveyors are going to have is legal boundary issues. Everything else is going to be able to be done by engineers or anybody else that can run a scanner, anybody else that can run a drone, unless we start to regulate that stuff. Is that a concern to you?
No, because if you don't adapt, even to Matthew Bird's standpoint, right? Like, we all need to work together. And I went to lunch with a GC who started a whole BIM network, and they created a drone processing internal things so they can fly their own jobs and do all these things. We all have to work together. And that's the part that the surveyors are missing, is they're turning their nose up to it and saying, that's my job. That's what I should be doing, instead of working with them. And that's where we're missing out. That's where we're missing out on the boat. Instead of collaborative efforts, we're saying that's my job, and F you, like, go find somebody else who's going to help you, because that's not in my personal ethics to go help you with your machine control setup, or, those kind of things, right? Like, some surveyors won't even establish the on-site control for somebody to run a machine control. Well, you're not laying out red tops and blue tops or doing, 100-foot grids for rough grades anymore, because you're allowing these guys to run machine control. So be it. That's fine. Like, I mean, we have enough work to do as a profession that we don't have to worry about some of these things and work together with the technology. So my soapbox when it comes to that. And I preach that a lot. So.
Well, and here's the thing. I just Googled definition of land surveying, not in Arizona, but just definition of land surveying.
And
right?
It's very broad. Yeah. In state.
And here we go. And this is really interesting to me. Land surveying is a process of mapping, describing, and locating the boundaries of a piece of land, as well as the topography of the land and the location of buildings and other improvements, right? So when I look at that, my perception of that, or my understanding is, if you are measuring anything on the Earth's surface, you are land surveying.
Sure.
Right.
And then in certain licensing boards say if you're laying out fixed public works, right? Like, I mean, laying out, certain infrastructure and that kind of thing. So it's just a collaborative effort. Like, stop. And, I'm not going to go down the whole path of, surveyors missed out on the GIS because they turned their nose up to it. But I mean, it's a similar situation now when it comes to reality capture and BIM and all that kind of stuff. And 100%. And we're just totally screwing ourselves as a profession by not being collaborative when it comes to that stuff.
110%. And that's where I'm going with this, because when you look at that definition, right? If you're doing 3D scanning, technically, by definition, you're surveying, right? If you are doing, if you're flying a drone and collecting LiDAR data, you are technically land surveying. So what we're missing out just a little bit, right?
Yeah. 100%. And that's, in a lot of the phone calls of different drone operators wanting to collaborate, right, and have you set their control. Again, surveyors are like, go find somebody else who's going to set your control. That's not in my personal ethics to come help somebody who's just going to fly a site, that kind of stuff. And so we're definitely we're hurting ourselves. And it's been that way for many years. When it comes to business, when it comes to all those things, we really shoot ourselves in the foot. And so that's why I started my business kind of presentations again this year, was just wrapped around how we can work better as a survey firm, more efficiency as a survey firm when it's I talk about, we don't talk about pricing, but I say price according to your local market, right? Like, I mean, and that we're always priced based on overhead rather than the local market. Like we're not going to get into any of those conversations when it comes to pricing, but I'm just like, price what might go for the local market. Like, you don't have to, just because you're a one-man operation doesn't mean you have to do it for $75 an hour, right? Like,
Here's the way I look at that, TK. Price like you're one of 34,000.
Yes.
Right?
Not one of a half a million.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but
take advantage of this. Yes. Jesus.
But Trent will agree. This is coming from a guy who is a little more pie in the sky when it comes to this. And that's not the answer. You don't price yourself based on what you think you are. You price yourself what the market can bear.
That's what should be doing.
You push your pricing based on what people will pay for your service.
Yep. Well, that's a whole nother episode. And
speaking of that, I'd like to circle back because we do need to put a bow on this thing.
We got to start you anyway.
We're just getting started, Sean.
We'll be here all night.
And I'd like to circle back to Christian and to kind of wrap us up on some of the things that NCES is doing with outreach. I know there's some new, websites and some stuff that those guys are doing that we got to make sure we get out there.
There you go.
Sure. And again, I'll try to keep this quick. But yeah, NCS is partnered with NSPS in a web development team to work on beasurveyor.com. Beasurveyor.com has been around since I think 2017.
Started in North
Carolina. Tell us about beasurveyor.com.
Started in North Carolina.
When somebody goes there, this is freaking genius. When somebody goes to beasurveyor.com, what do they find?
It is now it is a website that has information based on surveying. So it has both educational resources. It tells you what the profession is and all the different pathways and career paths into the profession. It also has salary entries, and it talks about both if you want to be a technical, like so if you want to go without a degree and just go into the CST market, and then also pathways for professional surveying.
You ever thought about putting the links to cool podcasts that talk about the profession on that website? just a thought that just came to me.
That is a great thought. But yeah, beasurveyor.com always had a decent amount of information on it. Like you said, Trent said it started in 2017 in North Carolina, but it looked like a website from 2017. So if we're having a high schooler that's Googling outdoor careers, I mean, what we want them to see, the first thing is beasurveyor.com. And then we also want them to see a website that's up to date, that has videos, that has things that would interest them and to keep their attention. So if this is the first introduction, we want to make it a good one. And I think that's something that we try to strive for, like in every outreach event. You want to, if this is a kid's first introduction to the profession, you want to make it a great introduction.
Yeah. It's the main voice that's being used. I push it from an outreach standpoint, and NSPS is pushing it as an outreach standpoint. NCES is taking it on to paid for the entire revamping of it. It is the quote unquote one voice of the survey profession when it comes to beasurveyor.com. So resources, the fulfillment center.
So I could talk a little bit about that. I mean, and just from a marketing standpoint, just for a second, like having a national brand like that is I know a lot of the state associations go out to outreach events and they have their own material, and it's great. It's fantastic. But if you look at some of the state association websites, it looks kind of like GeoCities, right? Like but they're a little dated. And again, if these are high schoolers and we're talking about a career in technology, right? We're talking about how surveying is cutting edge technology. And if the first website you see is one of the state associations that happen to be just an older format, it's not going to be an instant turn on to somebody looking at it. But one of the things that we tried to do is we created a resource hub so you could download activities. A lot of it has links out to get kids into surveying. And then there's the outreach fulfillment center. So to go hand in hand with that, anybody could, if you're going to an outreach event, you could order online brochures, stickers, just promo items delivered for a career fair, for anything. And that includes like exhibit materials, banners, all that good stuff. And it's free.
Right.
Absolutely free.
So
free
what's
shipping.
I want to pick it back on that too when you're done.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry.
Go for it.
I did it quick.
Yeah, no, you did good.
That was great.
What I wanted to piggyback on that is as one of my personal goals and one of the goals that we're trying to do from NSPS's Workforce Development Committee is create a binder of basically what we're calling train the trainer, or any kind of whatever you want to call it, but we're calling it Train the Trainer. But the objective is if you're going to go to a first grade class, you open this binder and go, I'm going to a first grade class. What are my talking points? What should I bring? What item should what cool item should I bring? That kind of thing. If I'm going to a 5th grade class, if I'm going to a 9th grade class, so you're going to open up this binder and go, I'm going to a middle school or I'm going to elementary school. What should I bring? And so that's the ultimate goal right now to be completed. My personal goal is to be completed before we start next school year. So somewhere between now and the summertime. So it's all ready to go for August. And anybody who wants to do outreach can have this entire PDF and say, here's all the Get Kids initiatives. Here's all of the coloring books. Here's all the homework projects from Get Kids. These are great for, 1st through 5th grade, or here's the comic books that's good for 7th and 8th grade. Here's future cities that we need to pair up with, or, the Trick Stars. And so the whole thing is to create a binder and just say, I'm going to a 9th grade class. What are my talking points? What should I bring, and what items, publications.
Like, here's a couple of potential activities that you could do. Here's like good handouts that you could have. That basically any event that comes up, it's just easy to itemize, sort, and just be like, yep, this is what I'm taking. This is what I'm bringing. The whole idea is it's a toolbox, right? We want to give surveyors, if they want to get into outreach, the easiest possible way to do it.
Without recreating the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I love really that. Do. So TK, let me mention this. We started the podcast almost 5 years ago, right? Yep. And we had a lot of these same conversations back. Yeah. Whatever year that was, 5 years ago. And it was more doom and gloom, to be honest with you. And now we're 5 years fast forward, and I'm talking to you and Christian, and this is a much more optimistic conversation. 100%. Would you agree?
And I would 100% agree. And if you look at every bar graph that I love to put together, everything is trending in the right direction. And so they're all trending up. Like you said, Christians, when we talk about overall takers, it's up 22% over last year on both FS and PS exams. And so we're all trending in the right direction. Now we've just got to convert that to licensees or LSs at individual states. And so you do see a big push on a lot of especially out west. I haven't seen as much more so in the east, but a lot in the west of changing reciprocities or comedies when it comes to licensees. Like New Mexico just changed theirs, that if you've been licensed in another jurisdiction for more than 15 years, you can come get a license in New Mexico, right? Like same situation with Idaho. If you're in Idaho, if you've been licensed for more than 8 years in another jurisdiction, you can become licensed, right? So we're starting to see some changes, but the problem is that out-of-state licensee is not doing the lion's share of the work, right? And so they're just coming in, dipping their toe in the work, and then coming back. And so
rubber stamping.
Yeah, rubber stamping, or just sticking their toe in, right? Maybe they're doing 1% of the work of out-of-state licensees. And so that's one of the things. Like we do put a lot of emphasis on LS numbers, but I think it's the end states that I really focus on. And I forgot, I'm of course with my WestFed stuff, I'm really put a lot of stuff together when it comes to that. But I track by licensed surveyors by capita for firms, and I also do it by square foot and square mile types crazy shit. I have all
of course you do.
All kinds of crazy shit. But Arizona surveying firms, 122 surveying firms, 671 licensed surveyors per capita makes 5.5. Alaska is down to 4.3. California, 7.2 licensees. But I think 3,000 of those surveyors work for Caltrans.
Right.
Probably.
Colorado's 1 and 3.9. Hawaii 1 and 6.1. Idaho 4.5. Montana 3.3. New Mexico 3.2. Nevada 1 and 5. Firm capita. Oregon 4.8, Utah 6.6, Washington 3.9. But the average in the Western 13 states, because that's my home territory, and is 4.9. So 4.9 licensees per firm capita. So going back to that number that we talk about, it's that 1 in 4, 1 in 5 ratio. So
interesting.
I forgot to put that spreadsheet together. So.
All right, guys, we got it.
NC State.
Got to wrap this up. Sean's got a basketball game to watch.
That and we could go on forever. But what else you guys want to get out there, Christian? Anything else you that we didn't talk about? You want to make sure you mention?
Just go to beasurveyor.com. If you're into outreach or just starting, go to the resource page, order some sample packs, materials, whatever you want. Trent does Trent does so much with outreach. He goes to so many events, but if Trent went to 30 events in 30 days, he will reach a lot of people, right? Hundreds, maybe even close to 1,000, right? But if there was 30 different surveyors that just did one event, right? During that 30 days, they're not going to be burnt out from going to 30 different events. They're just doing it once. Yeah. So, really, it's a collective effort, and that's how we get on the ball.
7 conferences in 7 weeks. That's what I did.
Yes.
Hold on, TK.
Yes, sir.
Before we embark on that,
yes.
I guess my call to action to anybody listening to this would be just freaking get involved, right?
Yep.
Yes,
do
absolutely.
a little
That's
bit of something. Line. Do a little bit of something to move the profession forward. You don't have to be a Trent Keenan, right? There's one Trent Keenan, and I think that he's been multiplied at least 4 times. There's 4 Trent Keenans somehow, some way. Yeah. But you don't have to be a Trent Keenan. The expectations aren't for you to be a Trent Keenan. Just go out and do something, right?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Christian, we have one last question. We ask everybody, since you're the new guy, you get to answer. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Do I have a mantra that I live by? Yes, I do. It's better to do a thing than live in the fear of it.
Hold on. You gotta delay so I can type that. What is it? Better to what?
Better to do a thing than live with the fear of it.
All right. I'm going to butcher it, but okay. Go ahead. TK.
Anything else? Parting words?
No. So one thing I end every one of my Nevada traverses with is every man owes a part of his time and money to the business or industry in which he is engaged. No man has moral right or withhold the support from the organization that is striving to improve the condition within his sphere. And that's through Theodore Roosevelt. But my other mantra that I like to live by is just a lion doesn't have to tell you he's a lion, right? Like I'm not one to kind of brag and that kind of stuff. It's just your actions speak for themselves. And a lion doesn't have to tell you he's a lion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one, TK. That's a good one. Obviously, Sean's wanting to wrap this up. He's got a game to watch, right?
The game started.
All right, we just got started.
Yes, we're just getting warmed up.
But we got another 2 hours to talk about. But fair enough. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been unbelievable. Let's do it again. You guys up for that?
100%.
Absolutely.
Right, we'll see you next week.
That's right.
Next week it is.
Adding value and making friends. That's what we do here at the Geoholics.
We do.
If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. You know what? I think we're booking into June right now.
No, we are booked into June.
Love it.
I don't even know. It's crazy.
I think this morning we booked June.
Oh, my Lord. Kings of Leon, Taper Jean Girl, one of my favorite old Kings of Leon songs. Mm-hmm. Until next time, everyone, you're going to have to help me out with this. Better to do a thing than to
live in fear of it.
Live in fear of it. And a lion doesn't need to tell you he's
a lion. He does not.
Right.
Indeed.
You just know.
Right.
You just know. Until next time, everybody. And most importantly, be safe and healthy.
Boom.
You nailed it, buddy.
Well done, guys.